Prey is a British police show set in the Manchester area, and it's pretty good. I quite enjoyed it. It's 2 seasons only. Each season is only 3 episodes, so it's pretty much like 2 movies spread across 2 seasons, and each season is its own story encapsulated. But there is a recurring character, which is this detective woman, Susan Reinhardt, and I found her character really enjoyable and believable. She seemed like a real kind of person. She's not suave, she's not cool, she's like a middle-aged woman having a lot of personal problems and all that, but she's a pretty good, determined detective. She's a bit bumbling, she makes mistakes here and there, but she comes across as genuine. And she's just got to solve these cases, and they usually involve someone who's been framed or somehow has to go on the run because an elaborate plot and conspiracy has been done to frame these people, and she has to uncover the story and solve the case. And each season has a different protagonist who has to go on the run because of circumstances that drag them into a deeper conspiracy. And the first season has the main character is played by this British actor called Simm. And now I've seen this guy in a lot of different shows, and I like him a lot. He's a good actor, and he sort of has this everyman quality to him. He really just feels like an average Joe. He's like the quintessential British average Joe, and he's very relatable. You can sort of identify with him, and you feel bad for him, especially in the first season, because he's framed for the murder of his wife and kid. And I tell you what, I wasn't expecting great acting from this. Usually British TV dramas and that, I always find them a little bit average when it comes to the acting and just the quality level. I always hate the lighting in them. They always feels like it's just just filmed with a bloody real low level camera, and they don't look very cinematic. They never do, British shows. And this show had used a lot of natural lighting, but I tell you what, it still felt kind of cinematic because the script was at a high level and the acting was at a really high level. And Simm knocked it out of the park. There's a scene where he's being interrogated and they inform him that his younger son has been killed in this home invasion, and they think he did it. But when him learning this terrible news that his son has died, and the acting in that scene was spectacular. It wasn't over the top, it was subtle, but you could see the heartbreak in this guy's eyes and his face. That was damn good acting for just a obscure British cop drama. But and the show had a lot of twists and turns. It was quite suspenseful, and it really told the story of a guy on the run really well. It was very engaging. And even in the first season, there's a car accident scene where he's in the back of a paddy wagon, a police vehicle being transported to the prison, and there's an accident and the car flips, and the stunt of the car flipping looked really good. Obviously they flipped a real car, but they just did it in a way that it looked quite cinematic. And it's weird because the lighting in this is not cinematic, but it's elevated by the acting and the script. And the script was pretty good. The writing was good. The dialogue was good. Some of the humor and the banter amongst the cops and that was pretty good. And it's hard to... Season 1 I felt was better, just because I really liked Simm's character a lot. And season 2, the actor who played the main character, David Murdoch, he was good. He had a kind of intensity about him as well. But I didn't find him as... I didn't find his character as appealing as Simm's character in the first movie, Pharaoh. But season 2 was good as well, which in season 2, it's a prison guard whose daughter is kidnapped, and he's forced to go on the run with a female prisoner that he's forced to break out of jail because they're threatening to hurt his daughter unless he breaks this female prisoner out of jail, and goes on the run. And so that was interesting too, and Detective Susan Reinhardt has to come in and solve that case as well. She's the overarching character that holds the series together. And it's a shame they only did 2 seasons, because I would have watched more. with her character being the detective, and each season can be a different case, you know. And in the first season, Farrow, played by Simm, is a detective himself until he's framed because they wanted to cover up some evidence of a case that he was looking into. He had some floppy disks, weird seeing floppy disks, but it's explained that it's an old case from the 90s, and that's why the evidence was on floppy disks. And so he inadvertently, by just doing his job, Farrow gets caught into this big conspiracy, and they have to cover it up, which means, you know, he's in the way and his family gets in the way of it. And then they decide to frame him. And it turns out it's his own boss, his superintendent. That's the one that's orchestrated the whole thing. So it's a giant betrayal. And his best friend as well was part of it. But the acting from his best friend as well was really good, because you could see that guy was so conflicted about betraying his friend. He felt terrible about it. And so I just found the show really engaging, and from beginning to end. And it's short and sweet. It's only 3 episodes each season. Each episode's about 45 minutes long. So altogether, each season is like a good 2-hour, 20-minute movie or something like that. If my maths are correct, it was never my strong suit. But so you put it together and it's like, almost a 5-hour film. And I don't mind a good miniseries like that. That's just short and straight to the point. There's not a lot of, because a lot of shows, they take their time, they have several seasons, they get 10 episodes a season, and there's a lot of fat in there that can be trimmed in these shows, there's a lot of scenes that just fucking nothing going on, and I don't mind that in a movie. If the characters are engaging, I don't mind spending lots of time in their world and watching them in their day-to-day life. I don't mind that, because there's movies like Dragged Across Concrete is like that. It's got a lot of really slow scenes where these characters are just living in their world, existing, eating, talking, staring out a window. It works in that movie because the world and the characters are engaging and the dialogue's engaging. And it would have worked in this series too, because I found the characters and the writing and the world engaging as well. But I did appreciate the fact that they tried to really keep it tight and concise with the the unfolding plot, the narrative, and it kept it flowing and going really quick. So it never got that chance to become boring, really. But I don't think it would have been anyway, because I liked, the characters were good. There was some good banter between Detective Reinhardt and her partners in season 1 and in season 2. But season 2 was better. Her partner was better in season 2 because he got more time. That Iden, I think his name was, the young detective that she was sort of under her wing. She was mentoring him. They had some good, authentic feeling, interactions. It came across as kind of pretty believable for my liking. And like I said, the acting was just on another level for a British cop show. I've tried watching a few of them and I've had to turn some of them off because just the acting is shit, like really forced and over the top, or it just, the production quality was so amateurish, or so, there's too much shaky cam or whatever. There's a little bit of it in this show, all right, which is one of the few negatives, I would say. A bit too much shaky cam, and I would have liked more cinematic lighting. Like I said, the show was carried on the shoulders of the script and the acting, so I still found it enjoyable, but it really would have taken it to another level and really would have made it an all-time memorable cop show in my, repertoire of cop shows that I've watched. It would have taken it to another level, like some of the other shows I've watched that felt very cinematic, like a Mindhunter or Unsolved, the Tupac Biggie murders. They felt very cinematic. They had cinema-level lighting and cinematography style, and there was hardly any shaky cam in that at all. If they were doing a shot that follows a character as they're walking, it would be a steady shot. They must have had one of those contraptions that sits on the shoulders and the body of the cameraman that keeps the camera steady while they're walking. It's it was the 2010s when they made these shows. There's no excuse that they can't utilize low-end technology like a strap and harness that a cameraman can wear to keep the camera steady. But I swear some of these shows, I don't know if they feel like it's some kind of avant-garde guerrilla filmmaking. I've got to be just holding it in my hand and have the camera bouncing with each step I take. But I hate that. It's nauseating seeing the camera bounce like that. When you have a high definition camera and it's moving so much, it's quite jarring. That's why I really like these cinematic shows that keep the camera steady, even when it's moving. You know, if they're doing a tracking shot, it'll be on rails or whatever, or again, they'll be using something to keep the camera steady. I don't like bouncy, you know, shots, which too many shows do nowadays. And this show did it a little bit, but not to an egregious level, like some other shows I've watched where it's so shaky, I can't tell what's going on. It's a lazy way to film action scenes as well. And they do that in a lot of shows where they probably don't have a big budget, so they can't afford to, you know, rehearse, choreograph, you know, elaborate stunts and set pieces and action scenes. So they just, you know, do a lot of quick cuts, zoom ins, and shaky cams to, you know, get around the fact that they have a low budget. And I hate that, because all it does is scream that we are a low quality production. You know, spend that little bit of extra money if you can. You know, if you can secure that budget, spend that little bit of extra money on a show and make it that cinematic level, and it pays off. Anyway, I'm ranting now. The show is pretty good. I recommend it if you like cop drama thrillers, if you like, and this one has that bit of twist of being a bit more of a conspiracy style thriller, because there's a bit of a rabbit hole to go down. You don't know who to trust. It's not just a straight, you know, there's a case, the detective's got to solve it. There's a murder, the detective's got to solve it. Like, this one is, you know, very tense and suspenseful as we follow a main protagonist being dragged through this, you know, conspiracy that they have to unravel while remaining on the run. And yeah, it was quite, you know, at times a bit adrenaline pumping, especially in the first season. And some of the violence in it felt really realistic too, I must say. Some good writing all around. Anyway, I think I'll leave it there. Check it out. It's a good show. Thanks for listening. Take care. Be good. Oh, like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to do that. And I'll see you later.